A lady tries to jump in my car. So I'm a new Uber Eats driver, only been going about a month. I was just completing an order in the middle part of town, not too suburbs, but also not too iffy. I live in a major city, so going in and out of varying income level places is normal. As I walked to my customers, I see there's a man and woman in the doorway, and another woman across from them on the sidewalk. The woman in the doorway is standing timidly behind a guy, and his jaw looks firm. She doesn't break eye contact with me as I walk up, but I try not to pay it much mind. The guy accepted it, said thanks, and rushed him and his girl into the building. I started to walk back to my car when I noticed that the woman from before gently calling for me to stop. She was gently saying, "Hey," and I almost didn't catch it. However, I did notice her trying to keep pace with me on my way to my car. That sent my hunches up, and I did a quick little 1-2 step to get a bit in front of her, jumped into my car without breaking eye contact with her, quick pushed the lock button on my door, and she still proceeded to try and reach for my passenger side door, as if to open it. She heard the door click and stopped on her way to grab it. She bent down to look at me through my window, and her eyes looked far off and bleary. She kept mouthing something, but just like before, her voice was very quiet, and I couldn't hear her. I cracked my window just a bit so I could hear her, but not enough that she could get a hand inside. I said, "Sup." I was pretending to be callous and hard, but I am very soft and easily intimidated. I'm not good with confrontation, and in most dangerous situations, I tend to panic. I'm really proud of myself at this point that I was quick enough to think of all of these safe solutions. She just starts talking in circles about, "What are you doing? Where are you going? You can't deliver for Uber. You're in high school," etc. Keep in mind that I do have a baby face, but I am 30 years old. I'm polite but curt with her, and tell her that I am doing deliveries, and now I have to go. Do you need something, or do you need any help? She keeps trying to talk in circles, but as I'm about to insist that I am peeling out, "Hey, let me come with you," I get this weird feeling in the back of my neck, because she looks like what she said was a perfectly sane request, and still did not break eye contact with me. Also, keep in mind that this entire time she's been speaking with a very gentle and quiet voice, as if she's talking to a small scared animal. I say no thanks. She insists, saying, "Just trust me. I'm going to go with you. Just trust me." Again, this point, getting more nervous, I say no thanks. I'm about to drive off. "You should step back so I don't run over your feet." And she tries to get closer, maybe thinking that if she doesn't move, I won't move. She's sadly mistaken, and I start rolling slowly forward, saying, "You better step back. I'm about to crush your feet." But she kept laughing to some unknown joke in her own mind, saying, "You're so funny. You're so funny." I peeled out of there and confusedly looked back in my rearview mirror. I never came across someone like that before, and I've been in much rougher neighborhoods than this, so I was very confused. I called my husband, who was used to living in the rougher part of my large city, and said that she could have potentially been trying to trap me so that another person or car could roll up on my driver's side and potentially jump me or try to steal my car. I'm always glad for his instinct. Because of my shelteredness, I have no idea about all of these strategies that people have to get one up on you. This all happened about an hour ago, and I thought sharing this information might help someone out there. Stay safe, y'all. Roommate from hell. Never move in with a man or woman you've never personally known. I got a roommate from hell this way. The man tortured me psychologically when I turned his sexual advances down, then stole thousands of dollars from me over time, even used my Amazon account to open up an account. He got some of my personal info, like socials, etc. As well, once I left after calling the cops to help me leave, he showed up at the Apple store I was just at a day after I left. Even though I left to go live on the streets, no family or friends, as I was severely abused as a kid. I've been on my own since 14, actually. so I'm accustomed to surviving on the streets for periods of time. I was a million times happier than I ever was in his nice apartment, surrounded by nice things, and a fancy car. I felt so relieved even just living in a concrete garage. I was a million times happier sleeping on the concrete with a pillow made of a towel and a tiny blanket in the cold and heat than I ever was living there with him. He spent his time psychologically torturing me, and I don't regret leaving at all. He would bang on the wall across from mine every morning, and late at night to startle me awake. He'd throw pebbles or tap on my window in the middle of the night to scare me and keep me on edge. He'd give me weird little candies and teddy bears, as if we were dating. Even ordered stalkerish love items from my own Amazon account. Who the fuck spends this much on a Christmas ornament that says, "I'll always love and follow you," or something along those lines? Yikes. If I'd go to the restroom, he'd run and kick his foot at the door so loud and suddenly that it sounded like the door was being kicked down. He'd steal my items if I left him alone for even a second, so I'd have no way to go out if I had plans. Then he'd put them back once I mentioned them, or when it was too late for me to leave for my plans. He kept me home this way. If I got any mail or a package, he'd interrogate me. "What did you order?" I need to know. Like he owned me or something. Towards the end, I was leaning furniture up against the door because he had picked my bedroom lock before while I was gone, and when I'd wake up, sometimes there was stuff missing, or moved in odd ways, so I knew he was creeping around while I was asleep. He was an absolute freak. I wouldn't put anything past him since he showed me how psychotic he was. If I was happy or in a good mood, he'd start criticizing and nitpicking at my body, hair, face, behavior, voice, etc. Anything he thought I was insecure about. I even developed an eating disorder because he always did this and mocked/laughed at me when I would make or eat food. Anytime I'd leave my bedroom, he would rush out of his room to stand right behind or near me like a weird little dog that follows you around panting. He'd even piss in my hair products, skincare products, vitamins, etc. He'd throw out food I just bought, steal my cash, and even use my debit cards. He even ordered 30 to 40 items off of my Amazon account without my knowledge or consent. It was the strangest thing. If anyone else had dealt with this, they'd go insane. I still have trouble believing this happened, as it was just so crazy to even think that someone is that crazy to do this. The man in my backyard. Hi, my name is Anastasia, and a few days ago, something happened that makes me sick. We moved to an East Coast town about a year ago to be closer to family. So close, in fact, that my aunt, her wife, and my cousins are only a 10-minute walk from my house. Granted, we are very spaced out and borderline rural despite living about 15 minutes from the outskirts of a big city. I was walking my 2 little dachshunds back from my aunt's house. My mom hates it when I'm alone the majority of the day, so I spend time at their house, and I was genuinely enjoying my time. It was cold, but quiet, and oddly beautiful. I got home, fed my pups and 2 birds, and FaceTimed a friend. I was talking with them and doing chores, and was admittedly being loud and giggly when taking out the trash to the cans on the side of my house. I get back inside and lay down in bed still chatting, when my bird starts calling at something. Now, anyone who has owned a parrot knows that they have distinct noises for certain moments. She has been in my family for 76 years, and with me my whole life, so I knew the sound was alarm/intrigue. I get up to get water, and my back is to the sliding glass door, thankfully locked, and my friend has the wind knocked out of him. I'm confused and think he's hurt. He tells me, "Natsia, go back to your room now." I scoff, but then I see it in my camera view. There's a man with his face and hands pressed up against the glass door. He's a middle-aged white guy, in a gray pullover and dark pants, and a grin on his face. My friend, ever the best in panicked situations, tells me, "Don't look at him. Just go to your room." I was shaking so hard, I'm blubbering, and decided to lock me and my dogs in my closet. My parrot is still going crazy. English isn't my first language, and it's bad when I'm shocked, so I revert back to my native language, which he doesn't know. Luckily, my friend knows to take charge He tells me he'll be over in 10, and he calls the police. I'm thinking, I can run to my mom's room and find a gun, so if the guy comes in the house, I can blow a quarter-sized hole in his chest. I'm debating getting up when I hear tapping on my window. It's slow and intentionally creepy, and my stupid dogs start barking. I'm ready to accept my death. I'm a teenage girl, home alone, and I'm about to die. Wait, my aunt should be leaving for work, and I shoot her a quick text. Emmy, there is a man at my window. Please help me. The tapping stopped, and I think it's over when I realize something that makes my balls drop into my chest. I left the front door unlocked when I took out the trash. This keeps getting worse, and I beg my friend to hurry. The tapping thankfully returns to my window, and I can only close my eyes and hope that someone gets here fast. It feels like an eternity, crying to another teen who's breaking multiple traffic laws. Never before have I ever been grateful to hear another man's voice yelling outside my house at 1 a.m. It was my God-sent neighbor. Apparently his pregnant wife was having bad nausea and went out on the deck. And where it's situated, you can see my whole backyard. She got a bad feeling after seeing an unfamiliar man approach my door and woke her husband to check it out. I'll thank God every day for her, because I think she saved my life. I let my neighbors into my house, and my aunt comes about 4 minutes later packing major heat. My friend, not long after her. I go from home alone to an impromptu house party of concerned people. The police come like 10 minutes later, like they didn't just take 30 minutes to arrive to the scene. On the brighter side, my bird wasn't too alerted by this encounter and went back to eating not 5 minutes later, and my dogs were just happy to see people. My friend has been staying the nights with me since. I'm finding it hard to be home alone, despite the fact that an arrest was made. I'm so thankful that my neighbor had such good instincts and that my aunt and friend were so quick on their feet, because this could have been a lot worse. So, man at my window, let's not meet. I still don't know what happened on our annual family trip. I don't know where else to go with this, and it still bothers me, so sorry if it isn't exactly fitting for this subreddit. This was maybe 6 to 7 years ago. I have photos on my camera still, I think, but I haven't charged it in ages. Gave up on photography. You know how it is. So I hope that y'all would just trust me. We've been going on these trips as a family for a really long time now. Probably 17 years if I had to guess. I won't say where it is we go, but it's in the Australian bush, just to give y'all an idea of the setting. Anyway, we've had a few creepy experiences there, nothing inexplicable, but this event still weirds me out, and I can't really think of anything that explains it. The year of this, my sister, cousin, dad, and myself all drove up together, and we were the first to arrive at the house. We had to wait for my grandma to arrive with the key, so my dad sat on the deck with a beer, and my sister, cousin, and I went on a little journey. The three of us made our way to a little creek not far from the house that was nicknamed Bride to Terabithia because of a tree that had fallen and acted as a bridge for use to get across the creek. This creek never had water in it though, and was not deep or wide. We could easily walk through it, but the tree was fun. Anyways, my cousin makes an off-the-cuff comment as we walk across the tree asking, sort of sarcastically, "Is there something dead around here?" Because of how many flies there were. Lo and behold, we get to the other side, and there was something dead. We were greeted with a dead kangaroo. Nothing too jarry. I had seen plenty on the side of the road, but this one was cut clean in half. And when I say clean, I mean clean. Like it was a perfect half. There wasn't an ounce of blood on the fur, no blood on the ground, and the top half was nowhere to be found. I happened to have a camera on me and took some photos of it. Then my cousin poked it with a stick, and literally hundreds of flies came out. My cousin and sister kept poking at it, trying to move it into the creek, but a fully grown kangaroo, even half of one, isn't exactly light. Their sticks broke, so I grabbed it by the tail and pulled it into the creek so we could bury it. But really, we just covered it with sticks and flowers. We looked around, up top everywhere for the second half, or a trace of what might have happened to it, but we couldn't find anything. We ended up going back down into the creek and walking through it looking for something, but what we found only made it even more confusing. We found, if I'm remembering correctly, 4 dead rabbits, but only their bottom halves, all lined up neatly along the floor of the creek until it reached thick brush we couldn't walk through. Same thing with these rabbits though. No top halves to be found, no blood anywhere, and cut clean in half. Sorry, this was way longer than I intended, but I hope y'all will read through it and maybe give me some ideas to explain what this was. P.S. We still go to this area every year, and I've never seen anything like this again. A stranger tries to steal my dog, and other nightmares before Christmas. This happened before Christmas 2019, when I was 26, and sticks with me to this day. I've thought about sharing this many times, but I was never sure if it was scary enough. I guess you'll decide. My then boyfriend, now husband, and I decided to meet for dinner at a Christmas market here in Switzerland. He would pick up our dog from doggy daycare, and I would get there after work. Some things that are good to know. At that point, we'd had our dog for about a year. He's called Bean. He's a medium-sized dog, and before he came to Switzerland, he was a street dog in Italy. He was about 2.5 years old at the time, and he loved and still loves to get all the attention he can get. Also, Christmas markets are incredibly busy here, especially after work. People will meet there with their friends to eat dinner and drink mulled wine. When we got to the Christmas market, we realized that it was way too busy to walk through with a dog, and I sent my boyfriend to go get our favorite street food, malawak. I waited at the edge of the market with Bean. Bean likes to greet everyone who looks at him, and by that point, I had gotten used to talking with strangers because my dog wanted to meet them, so I wasn't too concerned at first when a dude came up to me. Full transparency, I don't remember word for word what was said. I'm not even sure what language this happened in. I do remember that Bean happily greeted this guy, trying to stand up against him and licking his hands. The guy asked for his name and what breed he is. I told him that Bean is a pinscher mix. That's when the situation started to turn. The man insisted that he must be a Basenji. How could I say he's a pinscher? All of a sudden he switched. He grabbed Bean's leash and said, "I'll go now," and just tried to walk off with my dog. Thankfully, I had a firm grip on his leash. I was incredibly confused and flustered, and just stammered that he can't take my dog. He got increasingly more angry, with every second that I didn't let go of the leash. I loudly told him to leave me alone, and Bean started to bark at the man. I've never seen Bean this angry and scared at the same time, and thankfully, the man let go of the leash and slipped into the crowd. I was left standing there dumbfounded with a mess of a dog. Bean was barking and shaking, so I knelt down to calm him down, holding him and talking to him. My boyfriend was still somewhere in the crowd, waiting for our food. After a while, a woman walked up to me and told me to put my heel on the floor, as she'd seen someone put a firecracker there. I don't know the name of this type of firecracker. They're small and usually thrown at the floor to make a little boom sound on impact. Someone had put them under the heel of my shoe, so it would explode when I put my heel down to get up. Now I don't know what's worse. Was it the same guy that tried to steal Bean, or was it someone else who saw a distressed dog and thought, "Wow, let's scare that dog a bit more"? I think the worst thing for me was that apart from that woman who warned me, no one helped me when I was being harassed by a weird guy, even though I loudly told him to go away. And there were other people standing very close just watching. Bean was the only one who scared off the guy in the end. Thankfully, the events of that evening had no lasting impact on Bean. He still loves to greet strangers, but I still remember it, and don't think I will ever forget. The photographers. I was around 9 or 10 when this happened, but I remember clearly pretty much everything that happened. So this was at school. It was lunch break, which lasted 2 hours. I was with a group of friends and we were playing pretty much like everyone else, but we started to notice people in front of the school. And when I mean people, I mean around 20. Usually there wasn't anyone, or they were just walking by, but they all had their phone in their hands. A woman approached the entry of the school and she just started taking pictures of every kid she saw. We could tell because of the flash. An adult from the school went to see her and told her to stop, but she didn't. Instead, she just smiled terrifyingly at him and said something I didn't hear, but it looked kinda like when a mother confronts you in a "it's gonna be okay" way. So he started to get mad because, well, taking pictures of children like that is weird as hell. Eventually she went away, but that didn't really change anything if you want my opinion, because everyone else in front of the school was taking pictures of us. Everyone, literally. I especially remember a guy that was pretending to call, except that he didn't talk, and he had his flash on, so we quickly understood that he was also taking pictures. Us kids thought it was fun and sort of a game, so we started playing hide and seek with them. "Ah, he flashed me, I'm gonna die," or stupidities like that. But we really started to understand there was a real problem when one of them tried to open the entry. That was kinda useless because the barriers weren't high enough, so if he wanted to get in, he could just climb it up a little. And that's when the headmaster got totally mad and went to see everyone, yelling at them for around 10 minutes, called the police, and when she calmed down, she asked someone to explain why they were doing that. The headmaster told us herself that all these people pretended to be some sort of voodoos, that they could sell pictures of us, make us suffer, etc. To be honest, everyone mostly laughed, but the adults didn't seem amused at all. To this day, I don't know if what she said was true. I don't know if some people were arrested, and I don't know what the pictures became. The thing I remember the most is just that woman's smile. That absolutely creeped me out. Today, I'm scared of getting a photo taken, even by friends, and when it's family members or very close friends, I'm just really uncomfortable. And that is the last of our Let's Not Meet stories. But what motive did the lady from the first story have that she wanted to get into the OP's car? And what about the rabbits and kangaroo that were sliced cleanly in half? What use could the photographers even have for these pictures? Let me know what you think down in the comments. Leave a like, subscribe, consider becoming a member of the channel, and as always, thanks for watching.